6:30 on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll call the meeting to order at 6:30. 6:34. Go ahead, Tammy. Additions or deletions to the agenda?
Oh, I had emailed today wondering if we could possibly discuss field trips.
Okay, so we'll add that in new business.
Okay.
Cool. Anybody else with any additions or deletions? Members of the public? Review and approve the minutes of the August 19th, 2019 meeting minutes.
I'll move that.
Rick moves, Barry seconds. Is there any discussion?
You want me to jot some stuff down?
Oh, I get it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. I'm gonna give it to Matt to type.
Good luck to you, Matt.
Just remember, I'm a proud graduate of Leland and Gray like you, Matt. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, old business, policy C-35, age of admission. So we, at the 8/19 meeting, we went through this. Tammy, did you have a copy hung up in your building?
Yes, it's up there.
Does it have a hole in it?
I think it does.
Do you have one, Matt, in your building?
It does have a hole in it.
Okay,
It's been up for a while.
yeah, since the middle of August, almost a month. So basically, it shall be the policy of the River Valley Unified School District Board that children who desire to enter 3-year-old program, pre-K program must have reached their 3rd birthday before September 1st, in the year in which they plan to enter the 3-year-old program. And it shall be the policy of the River Valley's Unified School District that children who desire to enter the 4-year-old pre-K program must have reached their 4th birthday before September 1st of the year in which they plan to enter the 4-year-old program. It shall further be the policy of the River Valley's Unified School District Board that children who desire to enter kindergarten must have reached their 5th birthday before September 1st of the year in which they plan to enter kindergarten. There shall not be any early admittance of students who were born after this date. Can I have your copy?
Sure.
So if we're all good, we warned it on 8/19, so we need to adopt it, and we're just gonna make one quick change, Tammy.
Okay. The plan.
Yeah.
Play the plan.
Okay.
I move that the board adopt policy number,
C-35.
C-35 as amended.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We have another policy, yay!
Oh, you were yaying for this policy.
Yeah, this was not an easy one.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one, school board member visits the school. So this is one we had discussed. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
So we haven't voted on this. I think, did we get this handed to us at the last meeting?
No.
Okay. It's policy of the River Valley Unified School District to encourage school board members to become familiar with their schools, its programs, and the needs of its staff and students. Implementation. Individual board members may visit schools periodically to expand their knowledge of school programs and staff and student needs. Is that proper English?
It's a comma, isn't it? Comma.
School programs, comma, staff, but of course, these visits should follow prior notification of the principal. Concerns raised as a result of school visits by board members should be directed to the superintendent. What do you all think? Hey, Carrie. There's chairs here, Carrie. Hearing no discussion, does nobody like it? Nobody want it? Anybody want it? Go ahead. You always have something to say.
What's fun?
Rick?
Do you guys need notice? I mean, it says prior, I mean, I could call you from my house and be here in 30 seconds. You good with that?
Or do we knock on the door and then enter?
Exactly.
Get me buzzed in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as we get buzzed in, we'll say surprise visit.
We're coming.
Does that mean I have to give up my card?
Your key to the building?
Yeah.
I do think the principals should know that we're in the building.
Well, somebody will always know you're in the building because you have to sign in.
Okay?
I
I mean,
didn't.
I'm
like-
fine with it the way it's written. I'm just
I didn't
fine.
like
That's
the
why-
prior notification. I mean, it seems to me like, we always are having all these discussions about how to have more parents' involvement and community involvement in the buildings, and then we make it more and more difficult for people to get into the building. Well, no or yes, I mean, what do you all think? It seems weird to me.
The whole thing seems weird to me. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, you can come in as a parent at any time without prior notification. Why would you need to have prior
And this,
notification to come in?
I mean, this was definitely more of a thing where people were concerned, like, the board member walks in and sees Mr. Martin doing something he's not supposed to, and I got you type of thing, or, I mean, I think there was teachers at one time that were concerned board members might go into a classroom and observe them teaching.
No.
Hi, Peter, how are you?
But that
I
could.
mean, does the superintendent
that could be
announce
the same
himself
for
before he
parents
comes?
as well.
If I were you, I'd be more concerned with him than I would us.
He usually calls or emails.
Oh, does he?
It's
Okay.
stuff, I sometimes
Sometimes he
report.
swings
Well,
Who's that, the
At
super?
SU when I passed it.
No, Bill's not here tonight. I mean, personally, do we really need this policy? Can it just be a procedure? We've never, has Wardsboro ever had a policy like this in the
Not that I'm
past?
aware of. Not a policy, no.
No. Dover's never had a policy like this,
Why are we looking at this then?
because it got brought up about, during the retreat, about coming into the building and going through the building, and somebody said, oh, well, there's a policy, and the question I asked was, like, I would go see the principal in Dover as chairman of the board, not so much with Matt, but I would go in occasionally and just say, hey, how are things going, what's up, do you need anything, how you feeling, but then I would feel bad as chairman of River Valleys going in to see Matt and saying, Tammy, you're not important enough, I'm not gonna come ever visit you. And is that fair? Or should I come over and say hi to Tammy once a month, and like I try to do with Matt? Or I tried to do with Matt when it was just the Dover school, not the River Valleys Unified School District. So we discussed it, and what did the staff want to see, and somehow we got to this model policy of the Vermont School Boards Association, and that's where we're at.
Isn't it part of our expectations as school board members of what we're doing, in addition to attending meetings, going to the schools and?
Not really, because you only have, you've only empowered to do anything
As a board?
as a board.
Right.
But the board can say, hey, Rick and Rich, you can negotiate on behalf of the board. But remember, it's different in the education world, because they, like on the Safe Place Board, I would not walk into the middle of a MTD meeting as a
Right.
board member and say, what are you guys doing type of thing. And I think that's the other thing is, I shouldn't, as a board member, walk into, Mrs. Jones's classroom and sit down and watch her teach. Because she's gonna say, what the heck am I doing there? Why is a school board member here? And, and then she's gonna get all nervous, and then, Mr. Martin's gonna get yelled at, Mr. Antone's gonna, so I see some of that. But I mean, that's just common respect that I think we've all shown. Matt, have you ever had a board member walk into one of your classrooms without?
No, I don't think so.
Tammy, I won't ask you because you haven't been doing that,
Yeah.
but we'll have you.
No.
You know, I mean, it'd be nice if one of you had 20 years in the building as a principal. Say it never happened in 20 years, but
So it sounds like we don't need this policy of,
yes.
So I think we probably don't need this policy right now. So if we had a new board member and they showed up at Dover School or Wardsboro School and just started walking around, going into classrooms, you know, Matt, I want to talk to you about what I'm seeing, you know, like, do you feel like you have enough tools to handle that? Would you want a policy at that point? What would you do?
Well, I wouldn't have them walking around. I wouldn't, any guest would be escorted around, first of all. And if it came up and it seemed like they were asking questions, it's just easy to say, well, you should really bring that up with the superintendent
Or bring it up at a board
bring it
meeting.
up at a board meeting, yeah.
Or you
yeah.
can call your board chair and he would.
Yeah,
I mean, my point is that I think right now, probably fine, right?
Right.
But boards change, people change, and
Sure.
so, I mean, I think it's incumbent upon us to just think about, you know, it's not all of us sitting up here.
right.
And we might not be sitting here either. There might be
Right.
other faces on this side of the table.
Right, right.
I think the last meeting, Bill had suggested maybe to consider this as a procedure. But then we talked about, well, can you have a procedure without a policy? And
Yeah, you can have procedures without policies. You can also have administrative procedures that go along with policies. Here's the policy and the administration will make a procedure. I mean, you can have rules in your building, you know?
Right.
I would think that maybe there should be a rule that, nobody is allowed in the classroom without setting it up with the administration.
Yeah, we
You know-
definitely don't let people in classrooms without a reason, certainly.
But we've had in the past where, we had a politician come in and some board members came in and it was set up. So, I mean, maybe it's just an understanding that, if a board member can stop in and if the administration is available, can visit with them, but they sign in and they follow all the procedures, just like a parent or any other member of the public.
is that something that as a board you would want to know to the board first that we're doing that? Hey, Rich, I'm planning to stop by. I'm going to ask Tammy if I could go to Community Sing. Just
No.
want to let you know that.
No, because anybody can go community sing. If you were to be going in to talk to Tammy about busing, transportation is transportation, I think she deserves a warning about that.
Absolutely.
And I think, the rest of the board should know because we appointed you kind of as our quasi
Correct.
transportation coordinator. But I don't think you should all of a sudden just stop in because you happen to be driving by and say, hey, Tammy, I need to talk to you about transportation. Or you could stop by and say, I need to talk to you about transportation. At some point, is this a good time? And then she'll let you know. But, for you to stop in and say, hey, I don't think your fifth grade teacher's doing a good job and I want to talk to you about it. I mean, that's definitely, I think, inappropriate.
Yes. But coming to see Wardsboro go to Community Sing or their art night or
Yeah,
open
but,
house.
and I think that's something you plan ahead enough that though you can also just ask ahead of time or just let them know that, hey, I'd like to come.
Absolutely.
Again, I was going at it from a different angle. I didn't want Tammy to feel like because the chairman happened to be from Dover, we were, and I happened to be driving by and stopped in because Matt had asked me something and I wanted to answer him, and then I don't ever do that for her. I just didn't want to feel like there was a difference in there. But if I was driving like to
Well,
go,
there is, you're driving right by.
right. But if I'm driving over to Sosamos to pick up aggregate, should I stop in and just say hi, Tammy? Just stop to see how things are going. And that was kind of more my question than getting into a full blown policy. Or like Rick, you're driving by Dover School because you had to go to Newfane for
Sure.
a meeting. Do you just pop in and say hi, Matt? I've always wondered, what an IB class looked like. Can I observe something?
Yeah, right.
So,
Personally, would be a little more considerate than that.
yeah, no, but that's where I was just trying to get at is how we
How do we do that? And do we need to?
So either one of you, if you ever have anything you want to go over with because of the board level, before a meeting or something, then give me a call. And between Rick and I, we'll figure out how to come and see if you wanna kind of bounce something off the board beforehand, or, you know, one of the board members. And then why don't we do that and not do the policy for now? And see how it goes, and if
Yeah.
it becomes an issue. And again, most of the reasons we have policies and laws and warnings is because somebody did it, or somebody did it wrong. Like somebody really put their little puppy in that microwave to dry it off, and that's why there's a warning.
What is happening, Richard?
That's a kind of crazy illustrations.
Thank
No,
you
I'm
for
just
that.
thinking that, you know, we
That's now in your vision, huh?
we don't need to, so it's maybe nothing we need, and it's just an extra policy. But if it becomes an issue, we can have that, and you folks, your administration can bring it up. Is that fair?
Yes.
Cool. That was easy. Pre-K maximum capacities discussion. I think this was a little bit of a result of also the age issue too, and then tuition and stuff. So, what is our maximum capacities?
So we're 24
We're 20.
licensed, but our staff capacity is also 20 in Dover at the moment.
And that's one of the reasons why you folks were looking, that's one of the reasons why in Wardsboro, we were looking to possibly put a small addition on or add some space.
Well, we added our 3-year-old program, so that was really more about programming and being able to offer them some additional offerings throughout the day while other programming was happening for our other students.
So I live in Dover, and you have 20, and I want to bring my child to the program, and you say, I'm maxed out. Will you tell them that they need to come to Wardsboro? Would you offer somebody in Dover the ability to go to the Wardsboro program versus the Dover program? How would that work? Or vice versa? How would you deal with it if you were maxed out and the other school, the other building had room?
We have universal pre-K throughout the state, so I would go, down the district list and say, these are your options. You could go to Dover School. They also have a program in Townsend. I think there's the Hilltop Montessori School that's offered as well, or Timpson Hill.
And I think that's what the essence of this agenda item is, to get on your radar, to have a discussion about what you think would be best in those situations for the community.
Well, to me, saying that there's other schools available in the district, that's not Dover and Wardsboro anymore, because we're in one district. It's more like there's another building in our district, in this building. I think there's a little difference there, because also with the
They can
unit.
choose to go wherever they'd like to.
Right,
for
they can
universal
choose.
pre-K.
Right, but if they choose to come to the River Valley's Unified School District for their preschool, can you folks tell them which building they need to go to? Because remember, they're no longer schools, they're buildings in a district,
No, I don't.
Yeah.
whether they
That
say
we-
Dover, Wardsboro or not.
Right, I mean, I think we can respond to our capacities, our
Right.
maximums, but I don't think we can direct families to go to another building. But if we're full, I think we can say we're full. I mean, other programs have done that. I think it would be a good idea to have this conversation, as a group with plenty of research, and make sure we're all coming to the table with all the necessary laws and.
So, with universal pre-K, I can choose to send my child anywhere and the home district pays for it.
Up to 10 hours a week.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking because, if we had capacity so the district is River Valleys. So if you have capacity in one or the other of the buildings, to me, it seems like,
We can encourage, sure, and recommend.
Yeah. Oh. Whatever. Okay. It seems kind of weird to me, and it seems sort of like, it seems strange, and it seems like, just because I live in Dover, and I can't go to Dover school, but I can go to Wardsboro, but then I choose to go somewhere else, you know, it's taking resources away, because then we have to pay that money out that would normally be used to,
Yeah, but it's always been that way, right? I mean, since this program was set up. you
no,
could go-
originally you could, there wasn't universal pre-K.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, but since the
Yeah.
universal pre-K came
Right,
into
since
play,
you-
they can really go anywhere anyway and get
Right.
those 10 hours. It really doesn't matter where it is,
Right.
right? I mean, you don't have to go in your district.
Right.
I think that since the law was passed, it was my understanding that you could go.
But if somebody from Dover comes to Wardsboro, Dover's not paying Wardsboro any money.
No.
Right.
It's within our
Right.
district.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Okay.
So even if they stay full-time in Wardsboro, they don't have to pay the balance because they're a Dover resident, which is in the district. Or vice
Yeah,
versa.
I mean, I would love to see us do anything we could to keep them.
Right.
Like,
Right.
within one.
Right.
How many hours do you guys offer a week? In your program?
It's the 10 hours, and then for 4-year-olds, it's full-time.
Full-time.
And how many do we have?
We have 17 in ours,
We have 5.
And the
Oh.
4-year-old program?
in the 3 and 4-year-old program combined.
And ours
Let's
is
say like
combined 5.
four students move in,
Yeah,
you don't have staff enough.
right.
You know, if we could get somebody to come to the Wardsboro one, whether, it doesn't matter that Dover has to hire him for that building, it's still costing Wardsboro money and Dover money, because that's the
Right.
district
Right,
now.
exactly.
Yeah.
And if we, you know, that's why I was saying is that it's too bad there wasn't a way to, I mean, I guess, and we can only hope again,
Can we
but,
discount it? Oh, they're not paying.
They don't have
no,
to-
they don't pay because they're in district.
That's why I was asking if it was just 10 hours here, because, I mean, then you could at least say. well,
Hey,
have
but you
15
can,
hours.
so, you know, you could go to Newfane and get your 10 hours, but if you go to Wardsboro, you can have 15 hours.
Well, you could have, if they're a 4-year-old,
Full-time.
you could have full-time,
Right.
you know, for no charge, just because you're a resident.
I mean, in a bigger scale, let's just say we had 36 graders in Wardsboro's building, or 35 sixth graders. So Tammy's saying, God, I really need some help in that room. I have to hire a person, but gosh, in Dover, you know, the 5th and 6th grade only has 12. You know, if we could get 3 or 4 to go over there, then the whole district saves money. Can, you know, is that appropriate to recommend to say, hey, look, this is a really big class, but what we can do is, you know, your child, if you want to, we can get them to,
More likely, we would see that, like, we wouldn't just see that like in 5th grade kind of thing, right?
well, we have, because in Dover, we had the bubble. Remember that?
But they traveled, so you'd see them younger. The only
Right.
concern I would have about like, oh, so let's smooth that out between the two schools, which makes a lot of sense to me, is on a case, you know, like 1 year we're doing that, because then you've got kids and like the social things, or, you know, kind of weird.
No, and that's just, and then maybe this is more for that forward-thinking retreat. Peter, could you write that down in the forward-thinking retreat next meeting?
Is that what we're calling it?
Well, yeah, there was the operational retreat, and then there was the planning retreat.
And
Isn't planning like forward-thinking?
yeah, it's definitely not backward thinking.
Okay. Get me going. Or not, Mom. Anyways, invite Windham senators to the board meeting.
Can I just ask one?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Tammy, you said your capacity was
20.
20 and yours is,
Well, it's 20 because of our staffing. We have 2 staff members and the ratio has to be 10 to 1.
But the building is big enough to allow 24.
that's what I was wondering.
Licensed.
So he could,
because I
if he
thought
hired
about
another
24.
staff member, we could go as high as 24.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even with Tammy hired 3 staff members, her building only allows you 20, right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
my first year, I was the pre-K and K teacher here, we had 24, so we switched classrooms, so there is a way, I mean, we could,
If you had.
if we had to switch classrooms, we've done that before. It's based on the square footage, you need 35 square feet per child, so.
Okay, thank you.
that was one of the reasons why Dover bought all that extra land, because there actually used to be a requirement, so much property per student, per, and then buildings, were the same way. I think they did away with that when they did the public school approval, right?
I'm not aware of that. I've not heard that. But.
Well, that's if school board didn't lie to us at town meeting, because that's why they told us we should buy the land.
The school boards.
You know how school boards are.
Is it acreage per child? Is that how they?
No, well, so many square feet of land per child to allow you to build a school of the size, So it was, so that's why we bought those extra lots that,
Yeah.
like where the solar field is and
Yeah, ball
stuff.
fields and stuff.
Or at least that's what the school board at that time said.
You think a big school in Vermont must have to have a lot of outside square footage then.
Yeah, well, but I'm pretty sure, I'm almost definite it's changed for land, but I didn't know if it still changed for building. So, I forgot to send an email. Oh, she doesn't show up today.
See.
Wow. We're gonna invite the senators to our meeting in October. So, later on, somewhere, we had this human resource protocol update, which was Carrie had asked about checking social media when doing backgrounds, which was not as simple as just checking social media for human resources background. So we're gonna discuss that at the first meeting in October. Right now, it appears as though we may not be allowed to do that. That it may be illegal, or it may be not proper. So I think it would be a really good topic to discuss when Bill is here, who's talked to the attorney, and maybe when our senators are here and our representative will be here, because it may be something we ask for as a legislative change, and it may be something that has to be changed in legislation to allow to do it if we're all on the same page of what you were kind of looking for. So I was gonna ask if on that one and inviting senators, if we could postpone that until the first meeting in October. If nobody has a problem with that, then we will do that.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Okay. Equity, working definition, equity role in budget planning. So this equity was Laura's thingamajigger. And Bill got us something that's,
Definition.
yes, a definition. And I'm probably not gonna be able to find it right off, but, which I can't. Does anybody have that paper? What was the definition of equity that we were gonna use?
You sent it to me.
There was a link on
Well, can you read it?
I can read as far as I know. Okay, educational equity means that each student receives the resources and educational opportunities they need to learn and thrive. Equity means that a student's success is not predicted nor predetermined by characteristics such as race, ethnicity, religion, family economics, class, geography, disability, language, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, or initial proficiencies. Equity means that every school provides high-quality curriculum programs, teachers and administrators, extracurricular activities, and support services. Equity goes beyond formal equality, where all students are treated the same. Achieving equity may require an unequal distribution of resources and services. Equity involves disrupting inequitable practices, acknowledging biases, employing practices that reflect the reality that all students will learn, and creating inclusive, multicultural school environments for adults and children. Vermont Principals Association, Vermont School Boards Association, and Vermont Superintendents Association. Does anybody want that?
I don't, because I have it somewhere if I can find it. Anybody else need it?
What have I
Okay, so Laura, what was I know we wanted to have this brought up around the time we were discussing budgets.
So it was, how could we say to the voters in both towns that the students in our district, in both buildings, were getting equitable opportunities? So how would we be able to say that to, how would, like,
Well, I
what
think
would we
based
say?
on that definition, that's what we're doing. We don't, students that need more assistance get more assistance. We have in place what is it called again, the thing from the study group, the plan there for students that, pardon?
The district management group?
Yeah, we incorporated that one recommendation where, whatever supports are needed by students, that we supply that to all students. So we're making sure that, and we're not saying that there's not enough money, we're saying that we will provide these supports throughout the district to any student that needs them. Saying, we're not basing it on financial, we have not said that we can't afford it, we're not gonna do it because we can't afford it. So I think that kind of covers that part of the equity. And I think with the testing results are showing that our students who usually struggle more are doing not bad. I mean, they're not at the top of the list, but our test scores tend to indicate that our performance, that we're reaching across all classes in groups of students. And there's always room for improvement, but we have a plan to constantly improve it. And both of them present to us every spring their plan for the following year, along with, when they do their budget, they set up for any assistance they need in the building, for any special programs needed, and any assistance needed specific to a certain group, and the programming through the district through the supervisory union into the district is set up to accomplish the same goals. Am I correct? Or Matt's shaking his head yes a lot.
How do we assess that, how do we assess that and see how each school or each building is doing without what Laura was saying at the earlier meeting, money. Money is always an easy way to say how much money we're spending
But we're
on
also
each building.
on test scores.
Right, besides test scores though, is there another way
So money,
to track that, right? To see that we're.
Well, that would be maybe a good question to throw out there. If you guys want to defer the answer till the next meeting, that's fine also.
so can I just, so I would say, at the state level, we have really measured equity by dollars spent per pupil, which I would say is a fail. And that definition is trying to get us to a different place. When we talk about, every student will be offered a high-quality education, that's equity. I will tell you, through Act 46 process, all of the districts had to go through an assessment. There is not a school in the state of Vermont that is not offering high-quality education, according to that school district. Okay?
Well, according to Act 60, every school is spending all their money on
So-
student outcomes.
So those are things that, I don't think there's an easy answer. There's not a place that I'm specifically trying to go. It is a provocative question on purpose. But even here in our district, I think it is much more challenging looking across a much wider landscape with lots of different schools, that sort of thing. But even in our district, it seems like we should be able to, so are we offering Spanish in both of our schools? So does that mean, is that part of equity? Or is it not part of equity? Is it how do we answer that question?
Well, I thought we as a
So-
group decided
so-
equity wasn't exactly the same.
Equity and equality are two different things.
Great.
Right? You said that. I'm taking that right
Yeah.
out of your mouth from a few
Yeah.
meetings ago.
So, but what is the,
I think we can still do equitable without having to be exactly equal.
Right.
And it goes back to the conversation about, we have IB in the Dover building, we don't in the Wardsboro building.
So
But
if kids want it, they could access it.
they
and
can
if
still,
kids wanna do
there's no,
STEAM.
right, they can, we allow for them to move over. If Spanish is really important to them and it's not in this building, they can go to that building.
Is that true? Could they do that?
They can move
They could
and they can
choose-
ask to,
Elect their school.
Oh, they could go to the
right,
other.
we give them school choice.
Okay.
Building, well, not school choice, more building choice. And I think, again, you have to go back to, at one time Dover was reversed the curve where our students that usually don't perform as well on the standardized testing had actually outperformed
And this building had the
the
same
other
thing,
students.
right?
Yeah, and I
Your free
just
and
can't
reduced lunch
speak to
children actually had better results on testing than
the non.
those that were not.
Right,
Although
so,
everybody
I mean, I
gets
think
lunch.
that there's a very good example that, yes, we are, reaching a vast majority of our students. There's always gonna be an outlier, we can always do better, and that's why we review it with our staff, our administration, and this SU is working,
So when we're looking at the budget
yeah,
and we're putting together a budget, how can we say this will provide equitable opportunities across the district? I mean, are we gonna be, so like things that the state does are classroom size, right? I mean, like dollars per student. I don't think that's gonna work here, right? I mean, maybe.
I think how we do it is when the administration presents us a budget, and we need to ask them, does this provide so that you can take care of all students and do what you need to do with the students that you have in the building currently, that you project to have? And, what, is there something more you need? Is there, something less? Is there something different? You guys are now, the administration and our curriculum coordinator is working on trauma, students who've experienced trauma. 5 years ago, how much time did you spend about trauma and students with trauma?
0.
Right, because it's now something that we, 10 years ago, 15 years ago in Dover, the teachers came to us during, that quality part where you're supposed to come up with your plan for the school. But basically, they were saying that one of the things they said they put in their plan was to budget to feed the students breakfast the days that they test. Because they really felt that too many students just either not even because their parents couldn't afford it, or they couldn't afford it, or it just, they were so rushed in the morning, they didn't have time to eat. So they would get to school. So they said, let's feed all the students before we do this testing. And, we budgeted for that to give them the best possible chance to perform.
I have another question. When you guys built the budget, did you guys build the budget last year?
No. No.
Okay. So they had input into it.
No, we basically took the two
Okay.
budgets for the
So when we
previous
do
year
it
and
this,
put them
when we do
together.
it this coming year, what role will you guys play?
We're gonna meet ahead of time this year. And
Yeah, we'll look at the programs,
Right.
and as we sort of process the definition of equity, from a budgeting perspective, we're looking at similar financial investments in both areas, and we're looking at academic opportunities, so.
So you'll be working together
Yes.
to build
Right.
one budget for the district that operates two schools. You won't be building budgets and then rolling that.
I don't know if we'll still, because of the accounting system, they have to be able to separate those, and I don't know what the impact that will have on the planning processes. but-
It's crazy that you have to build two
Yeah.
budgets to build
Yeah.
one budget.
Well,
It's
they
crazy.
still,
And
they
because
want
we're
us to
held back by
combine,
software.
but the state wants a report by building.
Right.
Just saying, that's.
But, so just again, folks, because maybe we forget, so we did last year, when we put the budget together, we
It's
added
going forward.
$20,000 in professional development to be kind of pushed over to the Wardsboro side, because we knew we were gonna be trying to expand with a new program. At that time, we weren't sure what it was. So, yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be certain things that Tammy is gonna say, hey, in my building, I really, there's something that we're really missing that's needed. So yeah, that'll have to be put in, and Matt will have to put something in maybe from his
Yeah,
building.
absolutely. But we have two educational professionals, and so for me, most of the question gets answered if they're building the budget together.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we will.
That's,
Well, no,
I mean,
they,
you know what I
They will
mean?
with help from the administration
Yeah.
at central office.
Yeah, that's really, I think that's easy for me. Like, our administrators are working together to provide a budget and programs across the district. Like, you guys are both aware of what the programs are. That feels very easy for me to say to a parent or, a taxpayer, like, yeah, I was concerned that it was kind of coming like this, or that it would come in like that. That was making.
We did the first year, but we also said that we knew this was gonna
Yeah.
be,
That's
because
okay.
there wasn't a lot of time,
yeah,
but
that's
that we
great.
wanted more, we wanted to really look at the budget better. So now, what would be very appropriate for the board to do is the board can make a motion to direct the superintendent's office and our administrators that when they prepare the budget, to consider the definition of equity that we just discussed, and that we will ask them to tell us in the budget how this budget accomplishes that goal. We're allowed to set goals as a board.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question of the
Yeah.
administration. You do individual learning plans for each student, right?
Not all students.
Not all students, okay.
That was one of the
I was gonna
things-
say, that would be equity.
But that was one of the
Yeah.
goals that we wanted when we gave Bill the guardrails for
Yeah.
building the system. And we were told by the administration that to do that for all students like preschool and kindergarten was not probably as appropriate, but that they would work on that for us in the next couple years in grades 4, 5, and 6, or 5 and 6. And you guys correct me, because that is something that will get the students prepped for that, because they have to do that in the middle and high schools.
But it also forces you on an individual basis when you're building a budget to say, I've got 70 students, this is the need of each one of those students. And then you're catching everything.
Yeah.
We were talking about the motion a couple meetings ago when Lori and Bill were here. We had asked Lori, actually 2 meetings, and she said that for the budget, she would identify the areas of what spending is a little bit different in each building. And she gave examples of language, foreign language, lunch program, and there was another one that I can't think of right now that she was gonna highlight of what is spent in each building, so that when we put a budget together, I think it's transportation, that we could start looking at equity too, because that was a question that kind of was repeating
Yeah.
that we had of, other than dollars spent in each building, how do you really kind of gauge equity within the,
Yeah.
And we all hate dollars spent, because it's just such a poor,
right.
It's a poor measure.
Poor indicator.
Yeah.
So I think, Rich, they're already planning to do that, because we identified.
no, I'm not saying make a motion, I'm just saying
Yeah.
it is in the board's purview.
Yeah.
If you wanna make a motion to give guidance, we've
Yeah.
also had a discussion, hopefully they'll take some,
Yeah.
maybe we oughta, or you can make it pretty specific.
And I appreciate that the district, the supervisory union, is gonna be much more engaged in budget building than the Dover board members are used to having been in the past, and I mean, as was this year. But it's important to me that our administrators are really engaged in that process because you guys are the ones with our students day in and day out. And so that equity thing for you all to say, yep, we feel really good about the program we've built for all of the kids.
I think one of the advantages that speak for Tammy, that I look forward to working with Tammy is that when we work together with Lori, we'll be able to go through all the line items and see what are we spending on this, what are we spending on that, and, come to agreement on that.
But, being honest, with all things being equal, 90% of our budget's set.
Right.
There's contracts are set by the board on what we vote. Staffing is the big issue. Secondary tuition, which has always been, 40 to 60% of your budget, we have no say over. And when you really look at it, there's very little that they can play with.
Yeah, but they can understand and they can flag if there are inequities or problems. And so I know this is, I mean, we're a new district still, you know, and so I really appreciate the time that we've spent on this. And I would just ask that, you know, like we revisit this, you know, after.
Well, I think nobody's made a motion, they can if they want, but my suggestion is that, huh? No, we
Do they
don't
need a
need one.
motion? I was asking them. if they
Oh,
wanted one.
but I just think, really remember that we're gonna, somebody's gonna be sitting here
Yeah.
and is gonna ask you, how does
That's
this?
on camera,
I think
by
it's
the way.
good.
This is just good planning, that definition of equity is just, it's just good planning, so it'll be
Yeah,
easy to.
but just be prepared, you're gonna get
Yeah.
asked.
No, I mean, I think it's a good
No,
process
and
for
I'm not
us
saying that's
as a
bad,
new
I'm just
district, you
telling
know?
you, without, there's no
Yeah.
motion, there's no requirement,
Yeah,
so they cannot be prepared, and
Yeah.
then maybe there will be a motion.
yeah. And, you know, not to belabor the point, which has already happened, or the discussion, but, yeah, like the definition,
Yeah.
I'm not so much in love with like, oh yeah, let's take the statewide definition and say that's what we're gonna measure by here. It's kind of, it's a little, but,
We can also, if you want to pursue it more, we can work and have our own, we can have the River Valley Unified School District definition of equity and tailor it specifically for us. And that would be appropriate, I think, again, because that would help give them guidance. I don't know, I don't think it would be like a policy, but I think it would be more like, you know, when we did the, oh geez, I'm gonna lose. Remember when we went through a few years ago and we have like, we have 4 or 5 things. We have our mission statement, we have, and you know, that could be part, like our mission statement or our, I forget what the vision, one of our visions can be is that we're gonna provide equity, and equity is, boom.
I would really want them to feed into, the administrators to feed into that.
Well, no, that would, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
something we would just say, let's take this and do it. I mean, we can put it down and we can have discussion about it.
Sounds like a committee that Laura should chair.
Oh, good idea. So Rick made a motion, that Laura chairs a vision committee.
I didn't make a motion.
Oh,
It sounds like. I was gonna make a motion, but balked out of
It
it.
sounds like maybe a great thing to talk about after this budget.
well, I think it's something we could start talking about now. Because I don't think it's something you're gonna do in a meeting or two. I think it's gonna be a lot. It probably won't be done until next spring, if we started doing it now. So, Peter, just note that we wanna have a discussion on vision. And we'll ask so that we don't overwhelm these guys, or equity, I'm sorry. We want Bill to, we're gonna let Bill
It's gonna
kind
go
of drive that. We'll let him work on that with us. How's
I'm
that?
sure he would be ecstatic.
I'm sure, but that way we're not overwhelming our people.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay. Any other old business? Okay. If there is none, old and moldy, where's Mark? He's been here for a couple meetings. You got nobody to hang out with.
I know.
I feel bad for you.
It's lonely at my table.
It is. You want Matt to move over? Matt, let invite her to your table. You're like excluding her.
Oh.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, so we had a written principals report, and so if nobody has any questions on the items in the principals report, is there any other questions for the principal? If they take the time to write a written report, I just don't want to reread it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So is there any questions about anything that was written in the principal's report from the board?
No, I read through it quickly.
Carrie?
I didn't get it, so if it went to an email, then it's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Laura? Matt or Tammy, is there anything in addition to what was written that you want to bring up? We are going to discuss the field trips in a little bit. Go ahead, sir.
I didn't have this at the time, but we had one of our staff members nominated for a UVM
I
outstanding
have that. I was
teacher.
going to do that at the end.
So I have something that I'll get to you that announces that. And it's going out in our newsletter tomorrow, which I'll send out to all of you as well.
So,
So,
the 39th Annual Outstanding Teacher Day is Wednesday, October 9th, 2019. From 3 to 4 p.m. is reception and 4 to 6 is awards. And anybody who can go, it's in Most Peculiar.
I think it's in Burlington.
Burlington, even worse.
Yeah.
Okay, further away.
Do we
But
know Who's been nominated?
Do you not want to say it
Public.
now?
No, it's public.
Okay.
Nancy Baker.
Nancy Baker.
Yeah. And we're going up. I have a meeting in the morning, and so anybody wants to go up, carpool or whatever, right?
That's
The
awesome.
Grand Maple Ballroom at the Dudley H. Davis Center.
Oh, that's.
Had she ever been nominated for something like that before?
I don't think so.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay. that's
So
what's
I did
coming.
ask Bill to do a little research. So there is another teacher from the West River District who was nominated, and it's not like there's just one or two. I think there's a couple from each county.
2, I think, per supervisory unit.
Supervisory, yeah. So it's pretty prestigious. I mean, it's out of the whole SU, which or the whole area. So it's really nice, and I think it was a great honor. And it's funny because I was somewhere on Saturday night, and this little girl was talking about her teacher, Nancy Baker. So I said, yeah, those two people over there, my wife and my sister-in-law, were sitting there. I said they had Nancy Baker when they were in school
She's
too.
gonna ask you how long she's been with you.
And she said, no, they're way too old. So
I've been sworn to secrecy on the number of years she's been teaching. So,
Rich is trying to calculate.
no,
how
it's really her and the librarian were
Albarno.
Mary Ann. They were both about the same time.
yeah.
They actually been there so long they didn't pay Social Security. Because in the old days, if you had a job with a retirement plan, you could opt out of Social Security. Because that was what, was retirement. So they'd been there a long time. And I gotta tell you guys a quick story about her, and I'd love to be able to tell it somewhere, but we interviewed her for the preschool position. She had been full-time
Gym teacher.
gym and health. She was half health and half gym. We interviewed her back when the board used to interview for teaching positions. She wanted to be the first preschool teacher in Dover. It was, you interview older teachers with a lot of experience, and you get this kind of like, level, good answers, You interview a teacher who just got out of teaching school, like they're all enthusiastic. Nancy came in like she was just graduated
She's like
college.
that every day.
And the energy, and so she deserves it. It's well. But thanks for taking my thunder.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to make sure we got it on there.
No, I actually put it in my pile. So, you all set with principal's report? Okay, I don't need it back. Cabinet report, Bill sent out a cabinet report. He's not here to ask anyways, but anybody
I
have
gotta
any?
admit, I didn't read the whole thing. It's long.
Yeah, it is. You know what it is it's
I've got an
every
American attention
every
span.
administrator writes something up. So, how are you guys finding? Because one of the things that we told them you had to jump into. How are you finding out the? How are you finding the new facilities operations person who's working out?
Fantastic.
So what has he done for you?
Well, he helped us with the pump replacement, and then recently we had another pump break in the utilities room, the one that supplies the school well with the water. So he also got us in touch with Lindwell and arranged for all of that. So he's been really helpful for me.
We haven't had a lot of experience with him, but he still comes and visits and checks on us, checks in with the custodians, and so it's been good to have him around.
So there's a lot of big stuff coming on with the water
Yeah.
testing, because of the PFO.
FOAs, right.
Yeah.
PFAs.
And so hopefully that will be less headaches for you guys, and he'll be able to coordinate that.
We're looking forward to that. And there's a new school safety plan template that is being released, and so he's planning to coordinate our development of those, so we're not all
Right.
doing them in silos, and be consistent, and we're looking forward to that too.
Cool.
Yeah.
So under new business, we had school events, and we had Wardsboro first. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So-
Hang on, I missed something.
Sorry, I have a question on the safety plans, just shifting to a different type of plan. Are the emergency managers working with the superintendent in these new supercharged supervisory unions, or are they working one-on-one with the principals on,
Good question.
like shelters, that sort of stuff?
I don't think we've done any work yet together, but with the new plan, it's certainly an opportunity.
Well, in Dover, we spent a lot of time and effort, and the emergency management director got the police and fire and the school. And we're also in Dover a little bit luckier because we have a local police department. So we have a very good plan, and when they actually reviewed it by the state, it should have been a model. So now the state has to make up their own plan, which will change things. Again, because you're in different districts, Wardsboro's a little different. They have a different fire department, fire chief. I don't know who your emergency
When we
manager
did
is.
it, we worked with everybody when we
Did you
set up the plan.
use the
Or
sheriff's
actually,
department or the state police?
State police, yeah.
So this is a good question for the superintendent, I think, because he has to have a sense of,
Well, no, it's
Right.
actually for the operations person.
yeah.
So wait and see what he rolls out.
Good question. But certainly collaboration with the local plan is gonna be really important.
Well, it has to be.
So well
because-
developed, I mean.
Feel good?
Yeah, just sending myself an email.
Okay, so school events, Wardsboro.
So, thinking of events, I guess it was last Thursday, we had our open house, which was, Rick, you came, it was very well attended, I would say. We had probably 80 to 90% participation. That was great. We've had 2 STEAM team events. Every Monday, we are engaging in STEAM as a school. So we had our first one last week and our second one today, which was exciting.
Can you tell us a little bit? So what is it look
Sure.
like that was
So-
different than another day?
So at 1:30, the students and teachers gather for, as a whole school, to talk about what the STEAM challenge for the day will be. The teachers and I over the summer planned out pretty much the whole school year as far as what we're going to be doing during those days. We divided the kids into teams, so each teacher and each student is assigned to a STEAM team. And then on Monday afternoons, we're engaging in those activities. The first one last week was more about establishing roles, so each student gets a role each week and they learn that role. And then during the challenge, they play out that role. So we've got like our chief architect and we've got the materials master, and so that's their role during the STEAM challenge. The first STEAM challenge was very simple, with it being the first one. They were challenged to build a structure out of toothpicks and marshmallows, and you can see there's some pictures out on the bulletin board out there. So the materials master was in charge of the materials. There was the architect that actually designed the structure, and then the builder was the person that had to actually take the architect's design and build the structure that they came up with. And then we had a reporter, and the reporter would report out to the whole school how the challenge went.
That's really cool.
Today's challenge was actually a challenge from the Bucketville News. They want a way to report the weather in town. So the kids are challenged now with designing a weather station, and we made rain gauges today. So we're going to be collecting data from that and then reporting that back to the Bucketville.
So, with your kids, with the students being on the teams, is it mixed groups then, or?
It is. We did go with mixed age groups, so we have 4-year-olds working with 6th graders.
Oh, excellent,
Yeah.
that's even better.
Yeah,
It's really cool. Sounds great.
yeah, it's exciting.
So how many teams, how big are the teams?
We have 4 teams of like 10 to 12 students each.
So the architect doesn't design in a vacuum, I mean, they're getting opinions
Exactly.
from everybody, he's the one or they're the one who's supposed to like draw it up.
Right, right.
The builder
And
doesn't build it all by himself, he's
right.
excellent, so.
Yeah, and they'll take turns with the different roles throughout the
Right.
school year. But
And it seems to be working.
first two times have been a success. Really, it's bad. We might have to make adjustments along the way, but
But that's excellent, because we were thinking before you, I mean, it'd be a year, couple years before you could even
Yeah.
do
so
anything, so,
We're engaging in it and.
well, good job, excellent.
That would be fun, once you guys have a couple more under your belts.
Come check it out.
Yeah, to come in and see.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what would be neat, if you could just let us know what your projects are, you know, like maybe for the next month, and then
Sure.
if, you know, board members, so that we don't all come down on you, but I would love to see that too, I think it'd be really cool.
We, Monday afternoons and this first half of the year, we're focusing on weather and earth and space science. So we've tried to align it with the next generation science standards as well. So we're taking that into consideration too.
That is so excellent, I think, you know,
Good.
it's just what we were looking for, and I think very compliments to you and your staff.
Yeah, they're excited. The kids are excited too, so.
Everybody good?
I'm good.
Yes.
You guys got kids, did they tell you about it?
Yeah, no, he's very excited, yeah.
Mine's
Yeah.
not in.
Oh,
He's not, yeah. Mhm.
Mine are out.
yours are too big.
Too big.
Hey, Matt, you're up for Dover if you have anything.
So we have open house coming this week, Wednesday night, very exciting. Kids are back in the flow, working on, you know, the usual work. PreK has started a Woods Wednesday program where they're going out and essentially using a outdoor classroom that they're working on. And there'll be a volunteer day this Friday where some community members are coming in and helping to bring the outdoor classroom, you know, some light and clean out some sticks and brush and set that up for them. Yeah, it's things are flowing along nicely. We're trying to set up our individual plans with the new academic support team. We're very excited about that through the district office. This week finishes up the benchmark window for the district for the supervisory unit. So we're finishing up all of our beginning of the year foundational testing, so we know where kids are starting and what supports need to be brought in. So people are excited about that. We expect our new academic support team to be on hand next week, getting to work. So it's been a good year so far. It's been a good start, really smooth. The new busing system with the Brattleboro bus run is working very well, smooth. So, yeah, it's been good.
You make anything for Matthew?
Fantastic.
Just Matt, not something, I don't need an answer now. Do me a favor. Check with Marco and make sure that the solar thing is we're still getting our credits.
Sure.
Because we're supposed to get a portion of the credits for all the municipal sites. And we had a real issue trying to put that together. Because Chip wound up having to set up the spreadsheets and stuff and was working with Marco, but I kind of lost track of it. We used to get reports occasionally, like how much everything was generating.
Sure. Can give them a call.
Cool. Anybody else? Anything new before we go to Tammy? You're on.
All right, I just, we have, you know, in planning, we've got a field trip coming up, and this might be more of a bigger conversation when Bill's around. We've used West River for transportation for field trips, but I just wondered if I should still continue in the path that we have in the past, or as far as transportation goes, explore other avenues.
So, my opinion would be, we own a bus, we own two of them in Dover, which is part of the district. We have people who are licensed to drive them. Would it be cheaper for us to just do our own thing? Or is it cheaper to have West River at their rates? And, you know, I know they have a mileage rate and an hourly rate for field trips. The only thing that you would have to work out with Matt is, you know, is the bus gonna be back in time, is it gonna be needed? But I would think if we could run our own bus, that it's gotta be cheaper. And I would recommend that you two just figure it out. I mean, I actually hope that the Dover came off the bus, and I hope it says River Valley's Unified School District on it.
Does it?
No.
No, and it shouldn't. The buildings don't say
He got
that
you with
on
the head
it.
shake.
And don't do that, Matt. We'll have to figure that out later. But, I mean, does anybody on the board disagree if they can work it out? I mean, it's one district, so it's,
Okay. I mean, is there
I
some,
would disagree with that.
is this just like, this is the first time it's come up, or is
Yeah.
there some other, okay.
the other thing too, just because, and Matt, and you to consider is, if they're gonna be out of the building more, you might have to bring some extra help in. So if you have a janitor who's got a few extra hours and isn't full, maybe they can go to Dover and work with the janitor for a little bit to kind of cover some of the time. But you guys work it out. I mean, you have a budget. You probably kept your budget the same,
We
so
did.
you have the transportation budget, but it doesn't mean we have to spend it.
Well, we'll work it out and see if the timing and all of that works out with the morning and the afternoon drop-offs and.
We have a lot more flexibility this year with not running the Brattleboro run, just in
Right.
terms of equipment and drivers, so.
Yeah, so if you have it, I mean, then let's utilize it. And, it'd be a little bit nicer maybe for them because it'll be on, their bus instead of West River's bus. Don't you have a field trip planned together too?
We do.
Wednesday,
Actually,
yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Oh, no, Wednesday.
Wednesday,
And so is that with our bus?
yeah.
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 So they'll kind of take the Dover students, come here, get the kids in the
We're
Wardsboro and
meeting
then?
them at Dover.
Yeah, because they're going south,
Right.
so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's again during budget prep time, and hopefully the facilities person will be kind of making some recommendations to us.
The two classes are going together, Carrie.
I know, I knew that, you told us that last year, and then during the summer also, so, it's an early start, they're going to Sturbridge. So,
I'm just saying that's
Yeah,
something
I
we
know,
always
I-
bring up, but
Yeah, I
very
think it's-
passionate about, so.
it is great opportunity for the students to see one another and to do academics together or field trips together, so I am excited about that.
And it's just more efficient for transportation too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's just a bonus.
Sure.
That's just a side.
Hey, and Matt, we're still asking whoever, well, both of you all, we're still asking whoever's doing the transportation to kind of track the number of students out of our buildings, just so we can see. I mean, that's one of the things that happened when we had tried to, going back to the equity and the money spent. We had one student going to Brattleboro on Laidlaw, and it was a $60,000 a year contract for one student, and it didn't seem to make a lot of sense. So
So we've done that this year with the secondary bus run.
you're
for
still
Brattleboro.
tracking all that.
Well, we've tracked it and we've reduced a run. I mean, we've saved a whole run to Brattleboro by collaborating with West River and with West River Transportation. So the bus that generally was not, there weren't a lot of kids that rode that bus. Now there are 20 kids on that
That's
bus
great.
both ways, pretty regularly.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's good.
Okay. I got it. Nobody else has anything?
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
We don't have any executive session, do we, folks?
We don't.
Okay. So our next meeting, the 25th, is that the last Wednesday?
Oh,
You skipped it to the week after. I think
What?
the 23rd is the.
No, the 25th is WCSU
Oh,
retreat.
tournament.
which I cannot make.
Cool. It's gonna be a really good meeting.
The Secretary of State is coming to talk about apportionment on that night in Dover. Yes.
Cool. And then September 30th in Dover from 5 to 8 is retreat. Matt, we have a planning session for that next
This
Friday. This Friday,
Yeah.
from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Okay, Rick, if you can make that.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Friday, 1 to 2 at Dover School.
Okay.
we're gonna kind of have to put the agenda together. So Rick and I are gonna meet with the administration and central office staff to come up with an agenda. So if there's anything you guys specifically wanna see, like your vision thing, or your, I'm sorry, not your vision, your equity thing, you know, let us know and we'll make sure that that goes on. So this was the meeting, we kinda had the future planning. One of the things I have in my notes is, Rick had talked about, you know, more opportunity for secondary students. You know, because a lot of students are filling out, getting all their work done by the time they get into, as a senior, and they have to take one or two classes, and there's not a lot of other stuff going on. Is there a way to fill that better? And, I know we had that, we've talked about, budgeting in the future, and where we see ourselves in 5 and 10 years. And then whatever else anybody.
We have policies too, right? We still haven't really.
No, I think
looked at-
policies were,
we gotta-
I
we gotta
thought,
try to do those
hey,
five
Matt,
at a time.
Yeah.
I had asked for, and I got the wrong thing. What I was looking for, and I think we can just do it at a regular meeting, take the policies that we had in Dover,
Yeah.
and Tammy, if you could take the policies you had in Wardsboro, and any ones that aren't, I mean, I asked for that, and I got a list of all the recommended policies, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a list of what policies Dover had and what ones, and then compare that to the policies that we have for River Valleys. And any ones we don't have, then I'd like to just have that package put together.
Yeah. So we have those three groups here.
Okay.
And Bill is aware of them and is working on having his staff do that cross analysis to see which ones are in the approved river valleys, which ones were in Dover, which ones were in Wardsboro. And then the three of us will get together and tag the ones that we think are really important.
Yeah,
that
but
maybe are not.
I want for the board to have every policy that Wardsboro had and that Dover had that don't exist anymore because we're River Valleys.
Yeah, that's what we
Those are
have.
on the list.
Okay, we don't need somebody to go through and tell us which ones they think are important. We'll ask your opinion on that later, but just let the board see it also, so that, you know, that way there's not a policy that we don't get to see that both
Yeah.
schools had, because, you know, somebody didn't think it was, I think that's definitely a board, in the board's purview is policies. It's one of the only things we get to do,
Yeah.
policies and go to meetings.
Pass that on to Bill.
What?
So the next board meeting is the 30th.
Right, 5 to 8 in Dover. And then we'll be back to regular schedule. The first Monday in Wardsboro and the third Monday in Dover. Something else to think about, guys, too. I got thinking about this on the ride over. You know, now we gotta have our budget ready so early because we wanna meet in February at our annual meeting. I wonder if we can change our annual meeting and have it in April. Is there any reason that we have to do it in February?
So if it went down in April,
We
still have
it
time.
again in May. 30 days, do it the 1st of April. That way town meeting's over. That way the legislature we may have some clue what's going on in legislature.
no.
Are you talking for
Well, we'll have a
next
better
year?
clue.
No,
Like
no,
February.
this coming year, we have to do it in
Right,
February.
right, this
But
direction.
for future.
In the future, is that something we should consider? Because, you know, we had it at town meeting day, so we were okay. Now we gotta be a whole month earlier to put everything
Yeah.
together. Would we be in better shape? Because the staff will have had a couple months to, so right now, they're gonna start preparing a budget for us after being in school less than a month.
Exactly.
So this way, they could prepare a budget for us, you know, if we were to do it April 1st, we'd have to warn it March
Maybe-
1st.
Maybe not April 1st.
Well,
It
yeah,
just feels wrong.
but, you know, the beginning of April.
You could do it a day, the first Tuesday in April, and sometimes it might be the first.
Sure.
Unless how do elections go? It's the first Tuesday followed by a Monday. So you can never, if the first is, November 1st is a Tuesday, you can't have an election that day. It has to go to the following week. I don't know. Think about that too,
Would
folks.
April be okay for you guys? Does it seem like there would be any problems with that?
Well, I'm also thinking it offsets West River too, so that we're not fighting for attention with West River.
But I mean, I would think about that, just how that workflow shifts if we do that for you all.
If you switch from February, is
Yeah,
that
to
the
April.
proposal to April? And the benefit is more time to plan earlier in the year, is that the,
Well, to not have to be so rushed, not have to
Yeah.
compete with West River, not have to compete with Windham Central.
You're not saying for this budget
No,
season?
No, we're set for this year, and maybe not next year, but as a part of the future planning, would that make more sense? Because right now, we gotta have a February meeting, we gotta warn it in January, the budget's gotta have to be done by December, so in October, November, you're doing a budget when you haven't even been in school 2 months. Legislature hasn't even met yet, so we don't know what their plans are. You know, I heard there's Act 88 coming along the lines, which says that, you know, every town has to kick in an extra $1 million to Montpelier.
Do you know what is coming? The waiting study.
No,
It
after
really
5
is.
years.
It really is. It really
But
is.
anyways, so just, it would help put it off.
yeah.
I mean,
How would that go with contracts, when are contracts due, as far as
April 15th, around the middle of April.
middle of April, okay, and they have to be back to you by
May 15th.
May 15th? I'm just trying to think of how
Yeah.
that's one of the things that,
No, I mean,
Shifts in
it's,
between.
like I said, it's not a decision we're gonna make now, but maybe that's something that we can talk about for planning and maybe it's not April, maybe it's the middle of March.
March 15th.
Yeah.
something like that.
But
Or
just,
the
you know,
second
I
March
feel like we're
preceding
jamming
that.
things in and we're competing for mom and dad's attention, you know? Because
Sure.
the business managers, you know, the West River District's a lot bigger and they got Leland and Gray they gotta worry about and, you
Doing
know,
it this early, we don't even really necessarily know what the WCSU budget is going to be
Right.
either.
We
you
won't
know
be
what I mean?
voting on
Which
that
is a-
till December.
Which, that's a very big chunk of the money that we spend.
Exactly.
So to know nothing about that, or where it's gonna land,
Yeah.
when we're making our decisions based on that.
I think it's
it
good
doesn't seem
thinking.
Fiscally
You know,
responsible.
Rich?
You know, I shouldn't be allowed to drive by myself. Okay, I'll entertain a
We
motion to
have
get,
financials too, though, I'm not sure.
oh, we have to sign them,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Still have a few things for you to go over.
Is it one big thing?
That's exciting.
Oh, no, this is,
Holy cow.
yeah, no, this is all.
School's in
just-
session, huh?
Is that pay orders?
Yeah,
Do I need to record them?
yeah. There's 8 pages. $253,000, guys.
Barry, why don't you sit there and review them and tell us if we can sign them? We'll come back in an hour and a half.
Sure.
This is the
Go get
first
some. Go
round
get some dinner.
You know what, guys? Barry and I are allowed to sign them, so if we wanna call the meeting, we can, and we'll just make Barry stay here and sign, it'll be his turn.
That's why he wore the Superman shirt.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not playing.
Yeah, but they're not like they used to be, they're not really tiny lines anymore, they're pretty good
Is
sized
there a way
lines.
to break those down?
Hey, Tammy, do me a favor, can you just 2-sided copies of this and make like 3, so the board can just look at them? And then,
Is there anything else besides that one?
no, because the rest are all the backup for those.
If you make one for me, I'll.
Oh.
So make 4 copies?
I think that's just a check register.
I was 10 minutes late. Did anyone take a note?
I did.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I think those are all the backups for the.
Night.
Good night.
Wow, we spent $1,500 to repair a drinking fountain. Yeah. We had Beck Engineering engineer a water system for $541.25. Black River Produce, we spent a total of $405 with them. Brattleboro Roofing and Sheet Metal did a roof inspection leak repair for $704.
That's it? What roof was
Lindsey Brown Russo got fingerprint required, we had to pay for that, classroom supplies, storage boxes, and tuition reimbursement. A lot of supplies. A bad case of tattle, Connect 4 game, kindergarten diplomas, pencils, wooden stacking board, Summer Institute, roll of forever stamps, charter paper, pencils, grade K classroom pirate hats. Oh, isn't it Speak Like a Pirate Day soon?
Yeah. 19?
Sorry. Sorry.
Happy birthday pencils, classroom pirate rings, cap erasers, daily language post-it, batteries, composition books, teacher welcome back lunch.
Here's the original one.
Here, Barry, that's all yours. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, so everything on that register, Barry, is here. Yeah. Yeah, ours are two-sided, yours.
Will it be okay if I scan this and append it to the
General, it's hard to.
document?
No, just do the number. We don't need to.
Do we wanna just go like down the
It'll
list?
save you money.
Like, just read them off? And have the, like, double check, just read them off?
Well, I
and
tell
then
you
things
what, the
read 'em
check
off.
register is much better than this thing. Yeah, because the check register actually tells you the description.
Well, we get
So
the
there's-
check register and the,
Do you want me to make copies of that one too?
Mm-hmm. No, so basically there's a bunch of supplies, yoga mats. There's asbestos removal service from Catamount Environmental for 200. Fire extinguisher maintenance from Code 3 for 500. D&K Painting LLC scraping, priming, and painting for 2,800.
let's just go through them. Or do you wanna just sign it?
I mean, we can go through it. How do you want to go through it?
The way to go
just- we
through
could
it
just-
is to go through,
we'll
look
just
at the
have the-
entry and then look at the receipt.
Yeah,
Right. Well, this actually, this lists it. So like on page 1 of this, it
Yep.
says Aflac remittance. It shows, it doesn't have an act, but the next one, 1054, is Al Jefferson Sons,
Yep.
Inc. It says repair drinking fountain, 1588.20.
yeah.
So this one doesn't tell you what it's for. It just says there's a check for Al Jefferson.
Yeah,
If you want to see it, then he's got the backup right here
yeah,
that has Al Jefferson bill. But I know it was for
Yeah.
repairing the drinking fountain.
yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of business. All these business card services were all stuff that was ordered by classrooms and schools. Supplies that they use the credit card for. So I mean, this just says it tells you what it is. Would you rather Tammy copy this for you then?
So what I would like to do is dispatch with this task as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Okay,
So
so
I'm wondering
Why
if
don't you look
we-
through and see if there's anything questionable, you can ask
See if
Barry,
anything looks like it's.
look it up.
You know what? Let's ask
Same
Tammy.
copies of this one?
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Make them two-sided and make
Okay.
make 4 of them.
I mean, I would never question an expense. I would just make sure the amounts were matched.
What is Quill Corporation again?
Quill is
That's
like office supplies. It could be paper, copy paper usually.
That's Gov Connection.
Yeah, that was the
Where's
first one that
that?
popped out of me.
This stuff here, I mean, it's like 1,000.
Yeah, one of them is 4,200.
Oh, that could be-
4,200.
So look in there. But Gov Connection, Matt, is that,
Technology, it's gonna be
right.
computers.
Is that the
It's the-
software
Okay.
Yeah.
it's
Hardware
connecting
stuff.
and,
It's
yeah.
hardware?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So just a hardware vendor.
The other one is better. The other one will say, it has a better description, so.
Page
Will
7.
it suffice for me to just record the total?
Yeah, that's all I said. That's,
Who's doing cybersecurity for our website?
Google Comcast.
Yeah,
Epson,
the
yeah, so it's
SEO.
printer nuts.
You go
okay, so whoever asked about that
No,
thing is, Barry's got the bills here.
assume that would fall.
Yeah, the Gov Connections, like projector wall mount,
Okay.
short throw projector,
Um,
Chromecast, acoustic headphones, Chromebook.
Do we have backups?
There's a million
Web
things here.
stuff?
You can go through every last one of these lines here. or-
So, you can run a backup, you can create a backup maintenance site, but
So if we got ransomed, what would we lose?
few hours of labor to recreate the
Okay.
website.
Okay.
There's no sensitive data on,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no like personal confidential data on the website.
The top shop replacement of counter,
So Carrie, look at, yeah,
Installation.
don't look at that first one we got, look at the second one.
I'm looking at the
Shoes.
second one.
Yeah,
What is that,
what's
is that
that?
in Wardsboro or is that Dover or,
I didn't hear what you asked.
What was it
was it in
called?
What
Wardsboro,
page?
Dover? Well, it's page 7
Okay, so
on the
it's,
vendor, and then on the special cheat sheet here, it just talks about countertops and installation, Top Shop Inc. I'm just wondering,
Top shop.
so down, should be down towards the bottom.
Yeah.
yes,
Countertops and installation, 30. You guys know Top Shop Inc. off the top of your head?
Do I know what about them?
Who had countertops installed?
So we had a remodeling project in Dover in the bathrooms, and that reflects the countertops. And the water fountain repair is actually the full plumbing for all that project as well. It's a little bit more than just a water. There were a couple of water fountains that were repaired, but it also included doing all the plumbing for that
Well, you
project.
did good, because I went to a class in Bennington.
Yeah.
And they were talking that some of these water fountains, because of the testing and the lead and
Lead.
copper stuff,
Yeah.
that they're looking at like $1,500 per water fountain.
Yeah, and we will, I'm assuming we will also be looking at that moving forward with our fountain replacements and repairs and stuff.
But there is money available from the state for that too.
Are there some grants or, yeah. that's
Yeah.
good.
Okay, Carrie,
yep, no, thank you.
good.
Very good.
Again, this really drives me up a wall, and just as a, for our one legislator, you make Act 46, you make it so that we can do everything put together.
Are you-
Not you specific.
I'd like to go sit in the audience if you're gonna be.
No, but yet we still have to report by school, and
Yeah.
they should cut that.
Well, we'll just put in a request to do it. We'll just, we just try and, although, I think it's probably pretty hard to get much changes right now with.
Yeah, no, I know.
AOE's
but-
pretty understaffed.
Can I ask one other question?
Yeah,
Roofing inspection leak, who had the leaky roof?
Dover.
Oh,
Got a
okay.
leak in the roof.
The big roof?
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably why you're using Brattleboro roofing sheet metal, because they're one of the only people that does rubber. Yeah, they do the membranes.
And occasionally, we'll get a leak and then we'll call them up to fix it.
When was the last time you had a leak?
Not recently. We had a leak in the winter. They had some, and actually, they came up and took care of it.
We wrote the check on 9/16, so,
Yeah.
Inspection.
Of this year?
yeah.
Yeah, so that leak is over the summer, I think.
I think all the checks
This
are.
summer, we
Yeah.
had a leak this
In
winter.
the winter, yeah.
And then, did we have one prior to that, since you've been here?
We haven't had any major catastrophic leaks. We've had a few trickles or where snow backs up and it, eventually finds a way through, but nothing major.
It's my understanding that eventually it just kind of all.
Yeah, he's
The rubber stuff.
They have these, because he's the engineer that put the system in. He's
Oh, system.
Tammy, what is Matt actually has a title, doesn't he?
Matt tests the water, and he was the engineer that designed the system, which is a very complicated system.
That you're septic.
Yes.
Yeah, but, so, this is why we hired a facilities person to test the water.
He's not licensed, though. I think he's in the process of getting licensed, but
But
there
I
is.
thought,
But if he's not licensed, he can't.
no, he can work under somebody who has a license, and then I thought that's what we were doing. So we're still gonna pay, Dover's gonna pay somebody for another year, and Wardsboro's gonna pay somebody to do something that we're paying central office for too?
We would have to ask Bill. I don't know what the plan is for the schedule for licensing Chris, or
Well, it's 3 years.
it takes 3 years to license.
Yeah,
I don't know.
2 years, I'm sorry, 2 or 3, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not an easy process.
No, but I thought central office was gonna hire a person to work with him that would then become the licensed operator of all our systems.
I have not heard of that plan yet.
Well, I'll take that up with Bill. Oh, Bill. Okay.
I've got no questions. So, 3 people have no questions, we can sign it.
Okay, somebody make a motion to approve the pay warrants in the amount of $253,702.67.
So moved.
Laura moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Anybody opposed? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Sign it.
No, just sign. It should be on the back of that one. So we just need everybody to sign this and we'll get out of our, sign in black. Red's a bad color when you're doing financials.
That's true.
There you go, Laura.
Oh, we're all signing this?
Well, you all made a motion. Y'all voted. Jeez, I gotta
And we'll all
find
hang together.
We either hang apart or we hang together.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
I'd much
got
rather
on
not do that in
this, too.
solitary.
Very true.
Where's the original bill? Yeah, but she gave it back. I just don't know what I did with it. Here. It's gotta be here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys. Right here.
you're welcome. Thank you.
No, it's too silent.